every night you can follow online, Swamiji speaks, and he speaks amazing truths. Just his words reach very deep. And I found myself very touched by the words. I was feeling stuck in my life. I was feeling like I describe it as like a tornado. And I was trying to shift, and I would like get my foot out, and I'd be sucked back in. I just couldn't get out. I did everything. I went therapists and retreats and meditation, and I'm a yoga teacher, and I practice regularly, and none of that were giving me the answers of what do I do if I want to shift my life. I felt like I didn't fully know my purpose, and I was caught in sort of patterns, the pattern of a mom, the routines of day to day, and I felt just not excited. And so Marpani invited me when Swamiji came to New York in 2009.
Halloween day.
It was Halloween.
And poor kids.
I have 4 children, and they were young, and they expect me to trick or treat with them. And I thought I was going to go to this thing. It was going to be quick. I was going to go hear him speak for an hour, get a quick darshan, I was out. But what happens is there's a process. We showed up, there was all this discussion and meditation, which was amazing. But suddenly it was 2 o'clock. Suddenly it was 3 o'clock. And I was thinking, my kids are trick-or-treating at 5 o'clock. And I broke down in tears. And I said to Samarpani, I have to go. And she said, Sarah, you can't go. You've been here all this time. You have to meet Swamiji. And I really felt torn. But something in me, like it was like this inner knowing that I was like, fine, I'm going to stay. And they actually put me at the front of darshan. And I, like Barbara, had this experience. I, being a person who I would say was kind of a non-believer in a lot of things as I look back, I wasn't sure I believed in God. I wanted to believe in God. I wanted to believe in a cosmic, a oneness in existence. I practiced yoga, but it was like not something I really felt like there's that difference between knowing and kind of thinking you know it, but not really making the connection. And I thought it was kind of hokey. I was like, But when I went up for darshan, and I was a person who was running, speaking fast. My mind was always going. And he touched my head. And I felt like I had been shocked. Like something happened. Like there's all this energy. I felt it. It was very tangible. I didn't know if I was frightened or amazed or maybe all of it together. But I left, and for the next 3 months, when I sat to meditate, or even when I wasn't meditating, I was completely still in my head. There was not a thought in my mind. It was wild. And so I continued to do this stuff.
Amazing.
It was amazing. Like it was not something, there was something energetic. And for me it was profound because I thought, how can this one person touch my head? They say he's enlightened, he's come back to enrich the world. But it was almost too hard for my mind to grasp that. And I fought it, I resisted it. But I was fascinated and I was drawn in. So I went to satsang. I was really interested in doing some of the work in the workshops. And then fast forward 4 years. I felt like I needed to go to India and experience an inner awakening program. And to be with this enlightened master that people were talking about, they were going and being transformed. And I thought, I'm going to go, I'm going to come back. And I just thought I thought the experience, truthfully, was going to be leaving my family of husband and 4 children for 4 weeks, getting on an airplane, I hate to fly, alone to India, which I was terrified about. I thought that really was going to be the bulk of the experience, like going into that fear. And then for the weeks before I went, actually, I got so frightened that I literally was having physical reaction. I don't know if it was a combination of fear, and I also think it was energetic from Swamiji. Because once he initiates you, once he gives you a darshan and you do programs, he actually initiates you into a healing process. And he knows what you're doing. He just does. I know it sounds, to me it sounded crazy, but it's not. He really knows, and he knows what he's doing. So I went to India. Actually, I almost didn't get on this airplane. Thank goodness for Samarkand, who took me to the airport. My flight was delayed.
Refused to let her.
My flight was delayed, so instead of leaving at 10, it was like going to leave at 2 in the morning. And I said to her, it's a sign. I guess I'm not going to go. Oh my God. And I was feeling like I was hysterical. I was missing my kids. I was having some issues with my husband. He was very angry. But Samarkand showed me that on her birthday, one thing that Swamiji can do is he can actually manifest things. So he sent vibhuti, which is a healing ash. He says, I'm going to send you vibhuti, and he actually manifests it. On her birthday, he sent her vibhuti, and she sent me the picture, and on her little patakas was covered with this dust. And she said 1 minute it wasn't there, and 1 minute it was there. And when I saw that, that's actually what got me on the airplane, because I thought, I have to see what this is all about. So I was hoping for healing. So I went to India, and I actually went through London, and I almost didn't get on the plane to India.
Yes, we had to go through that.
And my brother, actually, who I called in London, he lives there, he's like, just go. You had this plan, you have to follow through. I got there, and even Kelsey, the first 2 days, the first day, I was really not liking it. And I said, I'm going to probably go home after the second day. My
Me too.
my mind was that I wasn't going to stay. It was a very foreign experience. You're in an ashram, you know, you're walking through dirt, it's not what I'm used to, and I just was fearful. After the end of the second day, I knew I was there for the long haul. The processes that he does with you, it's all about finding really inner completion. Really the concept that everybody is a reflection of you, and everything that's happening in your outside world is really just a reflection of your inside world. So when you can actually shift what's going on inside of you, how it's like perception, how you see the world, and when you can drop the past and those old patterns that you run in and connect to that, to what you want to create. When you sit and really think about your intention, you can create it. So I went through this whole program. I had a profound shift in how I felt. I felt like a different person. And I also had very mystical experiences. Experiences that, if I can talk about afterwards, but experiences that I actually called Samarkand a couple times, because one night I was almost afraid, and I said, oh my gosh, Samarkand, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but everything is loving.
What were you feeling? Do you remember?
I had a lot of energy in my body. I was having immense Kundalini energy. So he awakens your Kundalini energy. So you feel almost like electricity through your body. And I was moving and bouncing, and it wasn't made up, and it was a very tangible experience. And when he would look at me, I would like fly back. And for me, as a person who's very, I'm not always logical, but I guess I'm a doubter. It was difficult for me to understand what was happening. And I did let go, and it was beautiful. I really felt supported. I felt so much love. I came back, and people to this day, my babysitter who's coming tomorrow said, I have never seen a person so changed. To me, I tell my mother about you all the time. She said, it's like hard for me to believe a person can transform as much as you did in this short period of time you have. And what happens with an enlightened master is we all have the potential, like in a yoga class, of going deep and finding patterns and learning to release and surrender and to shift our patterns and to create what we want. Our minds really limit us, and to have that faith and belief. But what happens with an enlightened master, it's like fast forward. It's like what would have taken me a lifetime or lifetimes, in a matter of a year and a half. The amount of anger, fear, all these emotions that I was able to drop and gain this maturity, sense of responsibility, clarity, and insight the ability to connect, that knowing within me. You know, I always I'm sure we all have this experience, we get that first gut feeling of what's right. And often we don't listen to it. I did that a lot. And now it's so clear, like when I get that gut feeling, I know it's the right answer. And I listen to it. And it's like, it's a city, it's a power that we have, but we doubt ourselves so much. And so people who knew me before, who know me now, like are blown away. Even my sister Becca.
Oh, I can't tell you, like she has told me so much about how she cannot believe, like, how much this has helped you from her perspective. Like,
Yeah.
how much it has made you calm, how it's really helped you in your life.
It's like an inner strength, and once you've been to a program with Swamiji, and once he initiates you, it's like you are always connected to him, because we're all just energy. We're all connected. We're all one. So really, whether I'm in India or I'm here, anytime I need the support of Swamiji or Sangha, all I have to do is really meditate, and I feel it. I sit and meditate. I was telling Kelsey last night, and I just meditated, and I really felt I had a lot of Kundalini energy just in that meditation. So it's very, very powerful. And it is difficult. It was a little hard to come back, because it's coming back to a world where a lot in the world hasn't changed, but I had changed, so you have to integrate. I have had this year I had 2 friends who were very sick, both of them with cancer. And I actually have a lot of cancer in my family, which was a lot of my fear. My friends definitely transformed. I see that having the sickness, and I've seen people who've had traumatic experiences, they definitely see the world differently. But 2 things happen. Sometimes those experiences also cause scarring. And the scarring gets stored in your muscles and your bones. And that's what comes up as aches and pains. So though they had experiences where maybe they see the world differently, a lot of their past that haunts them, those experiences where you were a child, where you sort of see the world skewed because you have fears, and just you've had experiences that skew how you might visualize it, how you might perceive an experience. They still hold on to that. And what happens when you have an enlightened master, you can go and have this amazing experience at IA or any of the programs, and you do a lot of inner work. But what happens is you're shifted without having to be sick, releasing all that karma, all that yucky, icky stuff that's caught in your body. And I mean, when I see people who've been with Swamiji, they look different. Mm-hmm. They really look different. And when I look at pictures of people who are very involved, honestly, they're glowing. Like, they look so amazing, healthy, blissful, happy. Younger, lighter. I mean, and then I went back to India in January. I looked at the pictures of myself there, and I was amazed. I felt like I looked like I was 25. I looked light. And you should know that when you're at inner awakening, you get no sleep, or very little. You're up when the program's changed a little bit, but when I was there, we had to get up at 4 a.m. We did certain kriyas for cleansing, so enema, netipat, eye cleansing, and that's all to clean the body, so that you can receive. So you can receive. And then you go to yoga every day. It's twice a day. So we had yoga in the morning, and then you go to satsang, and you puja and satsang, and then you have this day filled with all of these amazing processes that you go so deep. And the program goes off until 11, 12 at night, so then you go to sleep and you're up at 4. So you're getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. And I must admit, when I went, that was a huge fear of mine. I thought, how can I do that? I can't do that.
Then she got calling me because she couldn't sleep.
And what happened is I was so energized. I really couldn't. The first week of IA, when I went the first time, I literally didn't sleep because I had so much energy in my body. But I wasn't tired. It was a really interesting experience. And but you're filled with energy, and you feel you're like in a bubble of love. And it just gives you a whole different perspective. And the whole time you're there, he's working on you, like energetically. As Samarpini is a healer, when she, does the body talk, she's working on helping to give the body direction to heal itself. Swami actually, his energy can heal others. And I've seen people who go with diabetes or with heart problems who literally leave off their medication. It's miraculous. And people who go on crutches and can't walk, who like within a week are walking. And it's hard, like sometimes I was saying to Kelsey today, I've been away now this summer. I had a lot of family commitments, so I wasn't watching satsangs regularly. I was traveling. And I always felt connected, but I usually watch every night. And so I was feeling a little bit separate, but I'm never separate. And there were moments where when you feel pulled away like that, I start to say, I'm trying to remember back to all those amazing experiences. And then I went and meditated last night, and I had such a physical Kundalini experience, sitting, meditating, thinking of Swamiji. And it's something that's very hard to describe. And I know this because Samarpini would tell me about her experiences, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around that is he human?
A happening.
This happening. The energy of Swamiji can be so profound. And I, as a disbeliever, can only say that it's real, that it's magic, that it's incredible, that I believe every human being should have this experience. I think if everybody went, this world would be a different place. And this is coming from someone who doubted, who fought, who took 4 years to get there. And the truth is, I really, when I was in Italy this summer and I was sitting with myself, a few really intense things happened with my kids and my husband, and the way I felt inside, I thought, wow, I don't feel like me. I really don't feel like what I used to feel like inside. I am completely, totally different. And it's really something that blows my mind. And the other thing I want to say is when I went to India the first time, as I said, I went there thinking the experience was just leaving my family and getting on that airplane and flying alone for 15 hours. I was terrified. And that would be the experience, that separation. And I saw people who were so devoted to Swamiji, and they would cry and they would bow and they would feel so much gratitude, and I thought, this is strange. But the last day of IA, I never imagined in a million years. I thought I was going to come back and get back into my life. I was so deeply affected that the last day, I remember we all got up and everybody spoke in my group, and I got up, nobody cried. I couldn't even speak, sobbing, trying to speak about Swamiji. I didn't want to leave. I honestly, if I didn't have a family, I might not have come back. I did not want to leave. I was so sad having to leave. And then, I came back and then I got pulled back. So the reason I go back is because when you go back, the energy is so strong, and he's so evolves so quickly. He's ever changing with the messages he gives. That, 6 months later you have to almost go back to another, because there's all this new, incredible, profound truth that he's sharing. So, why an enlightened master for me is that I don't think in this life, had I not gone, I don't think there would have been any other way for me to have shifted so dramatically. And I should add that my husband actually said to me, my husband, who didn't want me to go, was ready to leave me, who to this day brings it up as something he's upset about, said to me, I like you so much more now than before you went to India. You're just such a better person. And I thought of myself as a great person.
So he doesn't push you, go back for another.
What's funny is he's a little frightened by this work. I think he's not ready to delve in. So for him, it's a little threatening at times. So that, I've had to really be gentle in how I incorporate it into family. And I am a person who feels very devoted and really is quite involved. And, sometimes I have to gauge how involved I am, because I have to, be careful, not to upset. And I'm hoping in time they've shifted. they've slowly shifted, they've slowly gotten more comfortable, they've slowly gotten very accepting.
They're definitely benefiting from your transformation
And
as a mother.
And and even as my role as a yoga teacher, I mean, just what I feel like I used to speak about, the oneness, and that we're all connected, and that inner calm, and that inner knowing. And I have to say that I don't think I really knew what I was speaking about. I think most yoga teachers probably don't, because my experience with him as an enlightened master was I actually experienced samadhi. I experienced being him. There was a day, and I'll close with this, that I was meditating. I was talking to Kelsey about this today. We were doing this time meditation. It was very powerful. And I honestly, and I was really an out-of-body experience. I had a very gentle kundalini, and I just felt like I just felt so light, and I had no thoughts. And it was like time had stopped. It was like what I imagined death must be. It was just time had stopped, and I honestly I didn't want that moment to end. I was sitting in, on a floor with nothing. I have a nice house and all this nice stuff. I wasn't with my kids. I wasn't eating food, drinking, sex, drugs, none of that. Not that I would do that, but I did drink wine before I don't drink anymore. I was so peaceful, and it was like the most beautiful moment, and I thought, I just want this moment to be like this from now for forever. And I tell this to my yoga students, that when you're in Shavasana, when you feel that letting go, that is our default space. But we have so much happening. It's like, how do we find that? And we have so many patterns and so much scarring and emotion that we bring from our childhood and other experiences, that it changes our perception, it changes how we feel inside, it weighs us down. And so for me, this experience just lifted that all away. And I really am eternally grateful. And I say this to my husband, I love Swamiji. I love him because what I have experienced is, I feel like, such a gift. And the reason I do these talks and this work is because I believe that I want to share this, and it's hard to fully explain the experience unless you have the experience. You don't necessarily have to go to India right away. You can come to satsang, you can do programs. Amy did a program recently, and it was pretty profound for you, right? I feel like she's gotten a taste. She even said, next summer I might want to go to India. We're going to make it happen. Everything's possible. So
that's it. Once you set the intention,
right, it happens.
It does. He will bless you. And what that is, it's exactly this. It is the universe completely aligning to your intention, and then there's just that space where you make it happen. In your mind, you think you have all these obstacles, but when the universe is aligned to your intention, those obstacles will just disappear as you take each baby step.